What was the greatest pleasure you ever felt? Getting my first paycheck after 4 years of just making enough, and a year of COVID out of work, and getting a job that pay more than I've ever had experienced. Having just something else than a negative number at the end of the month for maybe the first time in 5 years. I quit, lower tier, hospital admin for a fine dining serving job, and I have never had so much money in my life. Finally can breathe when I think about my finances. This is weird, but the day I decided 100% to quit my toxic, full-time job and retake my life even knowing I had no fallback. Driving 2 hours from my girl's house with the windows down, on a summer night with a warm breeze rustling my hair like getting a head pat by an angel, Spiritual State by Nujabes playing. This overwhelming feeling of sincerity and resolve took me over. Everything was on point. It wasn't a blast of pleasure you get when you do something cool like jumping off a 15-feet waterfall, but more of a glaze over of goodness and self-care. Like my world opening up again. Putting my sneakers back on after an evening at the roller rink. Yep, I know I dated myself. But that shit was the most amazing feeling a kid could legally have. Total footgasm.
After consulting 3 high-powered attorneys about my fiancé's citizenship case, and being told they wouldn't take it BC it was impossible to win, I, a layperson, spent a week, night and day, studying the law and putting together 125 pages document, received in the mail that he won the case and got his citizenship in the US.
Edit, thank you for the support and awards. I'm not going to answer the PMs asking for legal advice or the ones threatening to try to dox me and get me charged with felonies. Kick-ass. Now that's high-powered. Thanks. We sent a picture of him with his citizenship certificate to the biggest attorney and they were shocked. I followed it up a copy of my resume in case they were hiring lol. Probably when it rains whilst the fan is on and you're under the blankets. Waking up early on a rainy day and going back to sleep. I'm waking up now after sleeping in for just that. Waking up and realizing there's no work/school today and going back to sleep. Especially snow days. The first times that I took prescription opiates. I broke my leg when I was 10, and they gave me morphine in the hospital. 1 second in extreme pain, I broke both bones in the lower part of my leg and one bone broke through the skin in my leg, the next second just pure pleasure. I was laughing, making jokes to my mom and dad, even though my leg was broken. They kept giving me morphine. I left the hospital and they gave me a Vicodin prescription. I was 10. I took Vicodin most of the time my leg was broken, which was over 4 months. After my leg got better, I still had severe pain in it, and soon after developed arthritis in that leg. I kept trying to get Vicodin prescriptions. My mom also has rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and a Vicodin prescription, and I was a young kid addicted to them at that point. I ended up snorting it, and also taking morphine tablets I got from a friend whose grandmother had them. I took it until I was 20, at which point it didn't even feel good anymore. I just felt I had to take them. The first few times I took morphine and Vicodin it was just pure pleasure. There's not a better feeling in the world. It feels like you're getting a warm hug, and taking a nap after opiates is incredible. Getting the nods feels so amazing. Don't ever take opiates, not even once. It feels too amazing, and you'll want to feel that way all the time. I should also make it clear I've been completely clean of prescription opiates for 7 years now, coming this September. I am happy, healthy, and I will never touch the stuff again in my life, despite it being something I used all through my teen years. Again, thanks for all the upvotes. I definitely feel the support, and with 7 years coming up around my birthday, I'll be celebrating being clean probably more than my actual birthday. Once had to work 33 hours straight doing snow removal. Afterwards went and had a deep tissue massage. Literally the beat feeling in my entire life. I used to plow snow and did a 32-hour shift. Falling asleep at the wheel and all. Getting home and sleeping for an entire day only to wake up eating chili while there was 3 feet of snow outside was glorious. Getting that piece of popcorn out of your teeth. I was up for 38 hours, then I crashed in my bed. I giggled like a child as I fell asleep. Walking out of prison and realizing I'm finally free. I was in for 6 years. Just got out August 6th. 17 days ago. If you don't mind me asking, what did you do? Robbed some corner stores. Young and dumb, though it was the only. Had a job but wasn't making enough to support my family and someone else's as well. No excuse. Learned my lesson, never going back to prison. As someone who has his share of friends who just keep going back, that's a good plan. The chips are stacked against people who have done their time, but it's totally possible to not fall victim that evil bitch recidivism. You can do it, stranger. Probably the day we got the keys to our house, watching my wife cry because she never thought it would happen. This comment came after the divorce comment in the thread. Reading super quickly, I thought it said watching my ex-wife cry after she couldn't keep the house, after I got the keys to the house. Admittedly, that would bring great pleasure to many divorced people. Farting and that stomach ache just disappearing. This happened so bad to me once I ended up at the ER. Woke up in the middle of the night, excruciating pain, vomited from how much it hurt, could barely walk, drenched in sweat. Have my wife drive me to the ER, get taken in immediately, doctors doing blood work and prepping me to do some x-rays, when all of a sudden I ripped the biggest fart of my life. It smelled terrible, but all the pain went away. Most expensive fart of my life too. Almost sounds like a horrible prank. Can't imagine what the doctors must have been thinking if, after all the initial checks and prep, you just blasted the pain out yourself and left. My roommate works at a quick care and he said that this happens all the time. People will come in complaining of terrible stomach pain, fart, and then leave. Goes to ER because of terrible stomach ache. Lets out the biggest fart ever. Leaves. Refuses to elaborate. The Sigma fart set. Can't pick out one, but here are a few. My first time shooting up morphine. Me getting rid of my addiction, 8 years clean now. All of my 3 kids being delivered. Becoming debt-free. Wild mix, to be honest. Getting on drugs. Getting off drugs. Character development. Waking up and realizing I no longer have to work anymore. After I got my first job, I would wake up early in a panic, then think, oh wait, all I have to do is go to work. No homework or studying. Just wake up, go to work, come home and enjoy. But now I'm like, work again today. Sigh, I like my work, but the fact that I have to do it is a bummer. Still, I'm thankful for it. I graduated from university a decade ago and still occasionally get a sudden panic about homework. It's fleeting, and nearly immediate relief when I remember, just like you said, but I don't think it's ever going away at this point. My recurring dream is that I blew off a class all semester and now have a final/project/something major due and didn't know. My first poop after getting my appendix out. Didn't poop for 8 days, and when I finally did, it was fantastic. I still think about it and smile. I was on opiates after my shoulder surgery and didn't shit for 3 days. After the head popped through, like 2 to 3 feet of semi-liquid shit blasted out. I have never felt relief like that since. Laughing at it being described by length. Immediately after giving birth, like right when she came out, all the pressure and heaviness in my stomach went away immediately, and it was the best feeling. Going from being stretched out, bloated, with a baby pushing on your organs to totally empty was a huge relief to me. Edit, yes, it is like taking a huge shit except 1000x more relieving. Also, the superwoman feeling after is a close second to this feeling. Then the shower when you get home. I'm glad it wasn't just me. My husband thought I'd lost my mind when I was taking giant steps around the hospital room an hour after giving birth, saying, look how many activities I can do now. This is amazing. So a good feeling. So much room for activities. That first time tying your shoes after delivery or shaving your legs easily afterwards is the best. My wife was holding our daughter after her 8 hours of pushing labor and, with the most genuine and earnest expression any human being is capable of, tells me, I think I could run a marathon right now. My mother and I both did a double take and laughed at what we took to be a joke. My wife deadpanned me and insisted she could run a marathon right now. Just let her unhook her Ford. She is a registered nurse, and she would show us how ready to go she was. I reminded her that she was on some impressive drugs administered by highly trained and skilled staff, and that what she was really feeling was pleasantly high on these drugs and holding her newborn baby. My mother backed me up, and thankfully my wife didn't try to prove anything. That night, as she shuffled to and from the bathroom, she admitted she was maybe a little less recovered from pushing an entire human being out of her than she at first believed. The shower in bed after camping for 4 days at a music festival. Pro tip, always wash your sheets before you leave for the fest. That way you get to sleep on nice soft bed with clean sheets. Sitting down for the first time after completing my first marathon. I swear that feeling was better than any orgasm. Shit almost made me cry. Huge crush on this lady I worked with. Same company, but different locations, but we would see each other once or twice a week when our duties overlapped. I got the vibe that she was interested in me as well, but I never acted on it. There was a retirement party at a local bar, and she mentioned that she was going to be there. I nursed 2 beers for 3 hours on the chance she would show up, because I didn't want to be hammered like our colleagues. She arrives at 11:30, walks straight over to where we are sitting, and puts her arm around my waist. Boom. Been together for 16 years. Oh man. That feeling. I was incredibly infatuated with a coworker. Workplace on a remote place, so you'd be at work for a week and home for a week. Usually, we'd be on the same shift, so we had literally nothing better to do than hang out and get to know each other. She is, like, several magnitudes more attractive than I am, not saying I'm an ogre, but she's frighteningly beautiful. She'd get all the attention from customers and other coworkers, so I just figured I'd not pursue her. She had the pick of the litter. We did, however, become great friends, very close. I have issues with sharing details from my troubled youth, Earl at least, but she just disarmed me with how understanding she was. She still knows things that I haven't told anyone else. At the end of the work season, there was a party held at a kind of camping place with cabins. She suggested we could share a cabin. First night I told her I would like to take her on a date sometime. She hesitated, I backed down, fuck, whatever, shot my shot, and we can still be friends. Second night we had sex, twice actually. The next weeks it continued. That moment you realize you actually feel those feelings you always wanted to feel towards others, but never really did. Now you know what it's supposed to feel like. You're not cold. You're not broken. It just took time. Distill that feeling and shoot it in my veins. About a month in she suggests we stay friends, and that feeling turned into other feelings. I tried to stay friends, but it just threw me in a downward spiral I'm probably still recovering from. 3 years later. Ruined one of my few actually meaningful friendships. But you know. Sometimes she goes, sometimes she doesn't. Fucking way she goes. When my abuser was sentenced to 35 years in prison, no chance of parole.